Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our evening Shabbat class. We're closing out the Shabbat on the 4th of November, 2023. I'll be reading out of the Book of Esther, complete chapters. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, to Prophets of Awakening. We have a lot of videos that we made, and there's a lot of information given within these videos to connect a lot of dots for people that have a lot of questions. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to subscribe, share, and like to the channel. Okay. For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh is the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament, the books of the law that were given to Moses by the Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our evening Shabbat class. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, evening Shabbat prayer, Psalms, recent current events, a little need to know information, and then we'll open it up for some questions, comments, dialogue. Then we'll go into our topic for discussion, which is we'll be reading out of the Book of Esther and breaking it down. Okay? The moment of silence is for our Creator Yahweh, for the Lord of Hosts, and all that they are doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we thank you for your great mercy and your great power and wisdom. And we tarry waiting for your powerful deliverance of your people Israel. Oh Lord, you have given us insight into the scriptures of our forefathers. And you, oh Lord, have directed us to who you are and your role in goings on of heaven and earth. When we come at the end of this Sabbath day, doubtless that you will appear and that you will gather your nation from among these wicked Gentiles. Tarry not, O Lord, for the latter days are here. We are waiting and watching for you. Peace be on you. Okay. That being said, read the song right quick. Okay. Okay, I'll read Psalms 11. And the Lord put out my trust. It's a song of David. In the Lord I put my trust. How say ye to my soul, flee as a bird to your mountain? For lo, the wicked bend their bow, they make ready their arrows upon the stream, that they may privately shoot at the upright in heart. If the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. His eyes behold, his eyelids try the children of men. The Lord trieth the righteous, but the wicked and him that loveth violence his soul hated. Upon the wicked he shall rain snares, fire, brimstone, and a horrible tempest. This shall be the portion of their cup. For the righteous, Lord, loveth righteousness. His countenance doeth hold the upright. Okay, so that was Psalm 11. In the Lord put out our trust. So I wanted to check right on verse 5. You have to understand this right here when trouble comes. It says, the Lord trieth the righteous, but the wicked and him that loveth violence his soul hated. So it says he trieth the righteous. So we're not going to be say you love the Lord and follow Him, and you're not gonna get tested. You're gonna get tested. Yes, I'm saying that. Okay. Anybody else have any comments on that? Okay. We're gonna go into some current events, and then we go into a little need to know information. Okay.
The White House Instagram account, there was a post that went like this. President Biden attended the swearing in of the Presidential Advisory Commission on Advancing Educational Equity, Excellence, and Economic Opportunity for Black Americans. This commission will help build on our work to expand education and opportunities for Black communities. And I will say right at the top of this video, bull to the cocker. They ain't gonna do none of the above. Now, I don't know who those Black people are, but it sounds like it's supposed to be experts and professionals in their respective field. Now, that doesn't mean anything to us, right? Because they often get Black people from here and there to represent Black people, right? But it's like, why now, Joe Biden? You have ignored us most of your presidency, and now here you come talking about, oh, okay, we're going to get this advisory together to try to advance blah, 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 right? Because, yeah, y'all know Charlie Brown's teacher, wah, 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 wah. Well, that's what I hear when I hear Joe Biden talk about anything regarding Black people. Because, Joe, we ain't forgot, right before you got in the White House, you told those so-called leaders in the Black community, y'all better listen to me. Y'all better learn how to work with the Hispanic community. And we ain't forgot how you was getting spicy with them, right? So here you go. You're going to put these Black people in front of us, and then you're going to expect for us to listen to them and believe that you actually got the heart and the interest of Black people in mind. No, you don't. The problem is this, Joe Biden, you know, like we know, that your ratings have slid on down in regards to how Black people view you as the president. In fact, it is said that in September, via an NBC poll, that Joe Biden's approval rating among Black voters has slipped 63%. 63% slippage, okay? So that also means that, from what they're saying, only 70% of Black voters, approve of what Joe Biden is doing. Now, some people may say, well, that's not so bad, right? Because I think his overall approval rating is in the 30s, which is extremely low. Well, if you know historically that Black voters tend to vote for Democrats in the 90%, right? And that was true for Joe Biden when he said, Black people, you stood by me, I understand by you. But it's in the 70s now, so it'd be kind of hard for him to win the presidency again, I would think, with that number. And we are only going to see that number go lower and lower and lower in regards to Black people, because we're just tired and we're fed up of the lies. And so here he is pandering and now parading these Black people and in front of us like they're really going to do something. They know what we want, and reparations has been on the mind and the mouths of a lot of Black people. So it's like, we don't need you to get those Black people, whoever they are, wherever they came from, to come and pretend like they're trying to help Black people, because they should already know what we want. The only thing that you need to do, Joe Biden, at this point, and those good Black people you got there surrounding you, is to say, hey, me and these good Black folks have decided to get Black American descendants of slavery a check. That's the only thing we want to hear. If you ain't talking about that, then go on somewhere and take them with you. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, y'all tell me what you think.
Okay. Any comments on that? Okay.
Nikki Dillon here for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to give us a big thumbs up, and share the broadcast. Thank you so very much, family. You solidify and strengthen our collective Black voice when you share our broadcast and you check out our website and our app and so forth. So for that, we want to say thank you so very much. Family, I, of course, have been discussing some of the inner workings of our government here in the United States. Some of her activities, primarily covert activities that tend to take place around the world. Sometimes we're too busy living our own lives, focusing on the cares of life, taking care of our families, our loved ones, ourselves, our health, to really pay attention. And it is quite overwhelming because the average person wouldn't believe for one moment that someone would be so dedicated to being the ruler of the entire world, a true imperialist, in a covert and subtle way, but extraordinarily, effectively devastating in more ways than one. I was listening to quite a lengthy hearing from one of from an arm of the U.S. Department of State, known as the GEC, the Global Engagement Center. They're discussing funding, their budgets and so forth, and they have to have these discussions before Congress. I want you to listen to a little bit of this excerpt from the hearing, a little bit of this exchange that took place between a congressman and one of the directors of this organization. Watch this.
Policies are intrinsically linked in an effort to try and go ahead and stop the expansion of the Belt and Road Initiative, which its entire intent is the Eurasian expansion, the domination of Africa, and to cut off Western Hemisphere supply chain from the Horn of Africa, Mediterranean, Red Sea, Black Sea, Persian Gulf to control those elements, utilize the WHO and the WEF and OPEC to attack the petrodollar and the US dollar as the global currency, while simultaneously utilizing their propaganda and misinformation campaigns in our own hemisphere to go after economic coercion and
seek to paint us as the villain in every situation, that seek to entirely misrepresent everything we stand for and everything they're doing. So, for example, on the Belt and Road Initiative, which the PRC presents as an economic boon to partners, Global Engagement Center has supported work that shows definitively that the projects that they are funding are not what they're cracked up to be. We've translated that work into local languages. We've done it to make the case with decision-making elites to try to shape the environment in a direction that is accurate, that is true, and that is less conducive to the PRC.
Wow, family. I want you to listen to this. The Global Engagement Center, again, this is under the U.S. Department of State on the government website. Their mission is, listen, to direct, lead, synchronize, integrate, coordinate U.S. federal government efforts to recognize, understand, expose, and counter foreign state and non-state propaganda and disinformation efforts aimed at undermining or influencing the policies, security, or stability of the United States, its allies, and partner nations. This is a propaganda wing of the United States, essentially. That's how I'm describing it in layman's terms. You heard the congressman specifically say that China's Belt and Road Initiative.
I interviewed dozens of businesses and discovered
in part is meant to dominate Africa. Family, you have been hearing all types of propaganda about China's loans being debt traps. And the people that you hear talking about that phrase the most is the United States and other white nations. Now, we both know that the WTO, the IMF, and other such financial trade institutions and entities have certainly robbed the African continent. How many times have you ever heard of the United States or the West calling themselves out for its utter theft and modern economic slavery of the continent of Africa? This is not to absolve China of any and all possible wrongdoing. You all know we do coverage here, but I believe it's important to make a distinction between official policies that are pushed by the nation of China, the country of China, versus individual Chinese people and individual Chinese entities and businesses, which we, as you know, we give them that work when they're out of line.
Okay. Any comments on that? Yeah, you notice how the Rolling Bell initiative keep coming up all of a sudden out of nowhere because of it's pretty much it's wrecking everything else around. It's like when Walmart come to town, Super Walmart comes and shut everything else down. That's what the Rolling Bell initiative is doing. That's why it's coming up so much. They're trying to put a bad light on it, but it ain't working. Bringing all these Western countries to their knees. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna go to some need to know information. Check that out.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to revisit the Willie Lynch letter because, you know, when you read through the Willie Lynch letter, even though, you know, some people have said, oh, that's not a real letter. Well, why is it so accurate to how Black people have been divided here in America and also throughout the world? Why is so accurate? Very, very accurate. Well, I want to read through this just a little bit and just point out the power of division and how we, as you know, Black people, even globally, participate in this particular division. And if you want to strip away the ability of racism, white supremacy to keep controlling Black folk, the key is to get rid of the division and how division is used. So in a letter, as we're looking at here, he said, in my bag here, I have a foolproof method that said for controlling the Black slaves. He said, I guarantee every one of you that if it's installed correctly, which it has, he said, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. He said, my method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. He said, I've outlined the number of differences among the slaves. He said, and I take these differences and make them bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. Now listen to that. Fear, distrust, and envy. What do they do with the police? Why do they use the propaganda with police, right? They show a police officer gunning down a Black person and running on a loop every day in the media. Now the police, actually, we do the research, they shoot more white people than even Black people. But based on the media propaganda, is why I say it's propaganda, is to make you think that they're only doing it to Black people. So they show this in a loop, and what is the loop supposed to do? Make you fear. You understand? That's part of the tactics of Willie Lynch, is to get you to fear. Same thing during slavery. They would take a slave out, beat the slave, do all kind of horrible and gross things to the slave, do bug break slaves in front of everybody. All the slaves on the plantation. Why? Fear. He continued to say that he also used distrust. Why distrust? Because when a person distrusts you, a lot of times you're trying to gain that trust of that person. So if you're constantly trying to gain the trust, and you'll never get it because that's a tactic that's being used as control. You say in envy for the control purpose, jealousy, right? Validation is part of it. Oh, why this person get to be in the good graces of master and I can't? So you're not like another Black person because they're in the good graces of master, right? It's all about control. Now you continue to say these methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, or the Caribbean. They say it will work throughout the South. So take this simple little list of differences and think about them. He said on top of my list is age, but it is there because it starts with the letter A. The second is color or shade. There is intelligence, sex size of plantations, status on plantation, attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley, on the hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair, or is tall or short. Now, listen to that list. If you look in the Black community today, he mentioned age. The younger people don't like the older people, and the older people don't like the younger people. He talks about color and shade, colorism. Not only do we have colorism in this society in America, but we actually practice colorism within our own community. You know this. Intelligence aka Boule. Oh, well, I'm smarter than the average black person.
Dear community holders, I have some important news for you.
Part of this group called the Boule, the rest of them are underneath me. I'm next to Master. Of course, you're talking about size, sex, size, plantation. Now, you know, you can go on and so forth, right? Attitude of the owners, status of the plantation is what I'm talking about. Oh, well, I'm close to the master. I'm getting crumbs from the table. That's a division. You understand what I'm saying? Well, I'm liking the Boule because they all kind of fit into the status of the plantation. They fit on intelligence, you know, things like that. Now, they say where the slaves live, right? Sometimes they live on the east side. I'm better than them to live on the west side. I'm better than them because I live in the suburbs, or I live, you know, where they live at behind in a gated community. I'm better than the rest of them, right? He said, have fine hair or coarse hair. Now think about that. How many times we say in the black community, oh, this is good hair, this is bad hair. How many times have we said that? All of our issues linked to things like Willie Lynch. Now, no other group in this country, no other group. Every other group have never been told nothing about their color, their hair. They have never been tried to be divided with age, with intelligence, with none of this. So when other groups try to compare themselves to us, this is why it's kind of silly when I hear that. And they try to do that so they can try to get a leg up. Because we are the only people in this country who's had a story like ours, right? Nobody else has our story, period. Now, you continue to say, now that you have a list of differences, is that I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy is stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration. He says that the black slave, after receiving this indoctrination, should carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generation for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. He's saying, don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus light-skinned slaves, and light-skinned slaves versus dark-skinned slaves. You must use the female versus the male, and the male versus the female. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. He said, but it is necessary your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust only us. Now, that portion right there is what I want to home in on a little bit more than anything else. Is that he taught with the folks, they must distrust all black people. It don't matter if you are a saint or a sinner. It don't matter if you are a president, an astrophysicist, a doctor. It don't matter if you're homeless. You are not to trust and have distrust of all black people. Have we seen that in society? We've seen this. So when they say that Willie Lynch is fake, it's not fake based on what we see. Now, he said it's necessary to have your slaves, which is the black people, trust and depend on us, that they must love, respect, and trust only us. What's one way that I notice that more than anything? I'll say something on this platform or say it on our African Diaspora News Channel app. Make sure you download that in the Apple App Store and Google Play. Join us and get a membership there. It helps support our show, and we also show content there that we cannot show on YouTube due to YouTube rules. And when I say something on this platform, many, many times you've heard me say it. I've gotten emails in the past from people. And they say, oh, Phil, you need to listen to this guy. Listen to what he says. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm about to hear something profound I never heard before. And then I play the video, and it's a video of a gentleman within their community, and he literally saying the exact same thing I see, verbatim. And I'm like, I say this all the time. What's so special about him? What did he say that was so profound? A lot of black people will only respect and trust it unless it comes from them. I said before, I can literally train up a white woman, put her here, and have her speak exactly like me, and the white woman would gain more viewership. The white woman would gain more love than I ever could gain. All she got to do is talk like me. That's it. On this same platform. This I do know because I've seen the responses when I interview white women or women of the communities saying things similar to what I'm saying, and the views are through the roof. So no, Willie Lynch is not a fake thing because I've seen that. When he say they must love, think about it. The police, will take our children out of here. And how many times have you seen black people forgive it? I forgive, I forgive, I forgive. But you don't forgive another black person. If they step on your shoe, you're ready to take them out of here. But with the folks, you love them, you forgive them, you have a definite respect for them. When you go into one of their businesses, you're going to follow all the rules possible. When you go into a black business or some black establishment, you don't want to respect them. You look down on them. Matter of fact, you are angry if a black person has some sort of rules on you, demand you respect them and their business. You get angry with that. Remember the turkey leg hut where they say, hey, y'all can't come in here looking in no kind of way. Y'all want to have to put some clothes on, have some decorum. Black folks right here in Houston and also throughout the country got upset with that brother and sister for having some sort of rules to come into their establishment. But if it's not nothing going along with good and evil, we have to stay on code. And trust me, when we on code with each other and unified and not allowing none of their trickery, none of the trickery that is given by, because the Bible even teaches that the devil likes to work in trickery. None of that trickery, right? And we just focus on being on code and focusing on our community. And that's why they always want us to pull us away from focusing on our community. That's another way they try to divide us. Because some of us say that's where we're going to community. They'll say, no, we got to go virtue signal with everybody else. Well, I always say this. In order for us to really be whole, we got to focus on our community and our community only. We can't virtue signal. We're not even in an economic position to virtue signal with other groups. And then at times, there are certain issues that's in the world right now. No matter what position you take, you're wrong. So I'm never going to put myself in a position where I'm wrong no matter what I say. I just want to.
Okay. Anybody familiar with all the Willie Lynch letter?
I read up on that a few times, man. Like way back in the day, and I think that you might have had a book or something in your office one time, man, that I had grabbed and did a little bit of
Yeah, I did.
reading.
Yeah, I had one of them. Yeah. Anybody else? I mean, I agree with what he's saying. Yeah, it's authentic because we can see the effects of it playing out right now in our lives, in our culture. That crab in the bucket syndrome, they say, we talk about. Okay. So, with that being said, I'm going to open it up for some questions or comments or some dialogue. Anybody got anything they want to bring forth or any kind of question they want to get some answers? Okay. Nobody have no questions or comments about nothing. I'm going to play this spot. I think this right here is some good information. I've been talking about it, but I don't think it really being registered. But it's got to do with Portugal. You hear all these brothers talk about, Portugal, the black folks in Portugal with the Israelites and all that, but I don't see that. So here we go. The Edomites.
What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Portugal. That's where I am, family. You know, uncovering more information about the so-called transatlantic slave trade, the Black Jews, as well as the children of Israel in the histories of many of these countries that we did not have the privilege in America to find out by their explorers, their kingdoms of the writings that exist that we just never had our hands on. Right here behind me is the Monument of Discoveries. And this monument right here is, you're going to see many.
Yeah, get a chance to see that. The name of this video is, I don't know, in Portugal, those who engineered the transatlantic slave trade, which is Edomites. That's what they were sent to. In 70 AD, when they was kicked out of Israel, they were sent to Spain and Portugal. Okay.
Man here, first the explorer Henrik, who's in front, and all the supporting of Portugal, who began their navigation and exploring the world. As you see here, the inscriber even has here mentioning Africa as being one of the first places that they explored outside of Portugal, and was on the journey to even explore India. Now, this group of people, whether you talk about writers and painters and navigators, or, you know, supporters of military, the kings, the queens, and those who are backing this, going out into the world, finding new land and discover, Portugal was the first country to enslave Africans in the 1400s, way before England, that you all think was the beginning or foundings of slavery. It was Portugal in the 1400s, almost 180 years before the Europeans of England, or the Spaniards, or Berlin, you know, Netherlands, before their conquering colonizations of Africa. Portugal right here is the first. Now, what I want to bring out to you all is that out here, you're going to find on the ground where you're going to see that Portugal was for the apartheid in South Africa. They supported it. They had a disdain for Africans, and they was ones who helped assist in the fight to keep apartheid going. And, you know, they in South Africa were like buddies. But on the anniversary of this Land of Discovery monument, this right here, what you see, was donated by South Africa. This right here, Portugal, that many people tell you, come visit. Yeah.
YouTube Premium is ad-free YouTube and the YouTube Music app all together.
Yeah, it's got history. You can see this monument here, and it's got a lot of history that you're going to find on the road of enslaving our people. If you can see this back here, all the way across the river, you're going to see the statue of Jesus. This is a mark of the Catholics. Many of you all don't know that the Pope who blessed Portugal to go and enslave heathens, non-believers of the Christian faith, that it would be okay for them to go into Africa and enslave them. And Portugal was the first country for the transatlantic slave trade to go into Africa, bring Africans back here in this country, to work them on sugarcane plantations, have them as slaves in people's houses, doing the work that many people would not do. It was the Catholics, the Pope, who made that papal bull, which is a decree, a writing, that they can go ahead and do such a thing. You see a heavy influence here in Portugal of Catholics. You see the cathedrals all around. You see you know, the people, even the Pope was just here this past week, and everybody of the youth came around from the globe to come see the Pope. But the interesting facts that remain here in Portugal is that it was the first country of the transatlantic slave trade who took over 15 million slaves Africans out of the continent into slavery. It is responsible for Brazil. Over 5 million Africans were sent to Brazil, hence why they speak Portuguese. You had Angola, who speaks Portuguese. You have Mozambique, who speaks Portuguese. You have Sao Tome, Cape Verde. These countries were where they dispersed Africans to be slaves, to work the fields, the plantations, that they made billions and trillions of dollars off of our people on free labor. That Portugal, along with the Catholic faith, owe us reparations for them approving and participating in a slavery that lasts over 500 years. Many people talk about 400 years in the so-called Bible, and I argue with many and say, you don't know nothing about the Portuguese slave trade way before England, way before Berlin and all the other Northern European countries. People don't know Portugal. This is why when I hear people talk about Portugal, they don't know and understand. They're the ones responsible who, the Northern Europeans, followed suit, got involved in the slave trade, purchasing from the Portuguese at first, then navigating into Africa, getting its hands on Africans to enslave them, where it became now a group effort, which then almost 400 years later, you found many of these countries got together and created the Berlin Conference, which...
Okay. Any comments on that? Okay. So like I was saying, somebody had something?
Yes, sir. I did not know that. I really thought that they were good allies to Africa. I didn't know that they were the ones.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. That's what I was saying. You have to go back to when the lie they tell us in the Bible is that we were 70 AD is when we left out of the land of Israel, but it says plainly in Daniel that at the end of the third beast, the holy people is going to get destroyed. That's Antiochus. Antiochus is the Antichrist. He didn't want to destroy the nation of Israel, brought it to an end. And the Israelites fled and went into Africa. And then Esau stole the land. That's in the book of Obadiah. And they lived there from 143 BC to 70 AD. Then the Titus and Vespasian kicked them out. That's who got kicked out in 70 AD. And he gave them safe passage to Spain and Portugal. That's why it started with playing Portugal, because that's our enemy, Esau. He's the one behind it. He's the one behind transatlantic slave trade. And he was over all the plantations and the ships that brought us over here. And that's what one of the biggest lies been told, that people are, the information skewed because they don't understand that. Yeah. And then when the big thing about it is they have this big focus on the west coast of Africa. Well, go look and see where Portugal is in proximity of west coast of Africa. Look where Portugal and Spain is. They right there. Okay. Yeah. So they watch. Yeah, they surveyed us and watched us for years. When they finally figured out when the time came for them to do they do, that's when they came with slave ships. They first sent Columbus out and found America first. That's who the 13 colonies is. So then they still up there now around Boston, Massachusetts, all that Israelites, Edomites, Jews to this day. Okay. So anyway, yeah, that's where everybody duped at. Ones that's in Christianity and all that, they duped. You know. So anyway, with that being said, anybody have anything else on that? Yeah. So like I said, I'm gonna read out of Esther. Couple chapters out of Esther, and we'll talk about it and break it down, and then we'll close out. Should be close to the hour. Okay. Book of Esther. Start at chapter 1. It says, now it came to pass in the days of Aorus, this is Aorus which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 170 and 20 provinces. And in those days, when the king sat on his throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and all his servants, the power of Persia and Media, and the nobles and the princes of the province being before him. And when he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty, many days, even 180 days. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace, where were white, green, blue hangings fastened with the cords of fine linen and purples to silver, rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black and marble. And they gave them drink in the vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse one from another. Okay. Royal wine in abundance, according to the state of the king, and the drinking was according to the law. None did compare, for so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure. Also Vesta, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house which belonged to the King Aorus. And on the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Bidza, Harbona, Beta, I can't say these names, Abaga, Zepta, Caracus, and the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Aorus the king. So here we go again. I was telling you about when Nebuchadnezzar came. It was already prophesied by Jeremiah that Nebuchadnezzar and his princes was going to come to Jerusalem, and they were going to set up in the gate, the gates, the gates in Jerusalem. And so Nebuchadnezzar came and his 7 princes. So you got to ask yourself where they got that from. So Nebuchadnezzar had an encounter with the Lord of hosts. And he saw the order that we fumbling with. And we saw that it was Yahweh and these 7 angels. And Nebuchadnezzar saw that. So Nebuchadnezzar set his kingdom the same way. And we see right here, Aorus got the same thing. Verse 10. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded, there go the 7 men. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of the King Aorus. And then when you go to Jeremiah chapter 39, just for people that haven't seen this, let you put your eyes on it. So, chapter 39, verse 1. In the 9th month of Zedekiah, king of Judah, in the 10th month came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and his army against Jerusalem, and they besieged it. And in the 11th year of Zedekiah, the 4th month, the 9th day of the month, the city was broken up. And all the princes of the king of Babylon came in and sat in the middle gate. And so you reading that, not understanding this, you just think it's just some regular old princes. But it says, when you look and it says, in the middle of the gate, then he give you all the names, the 7 of them. When you include verse 9, Nebuchadnezzar, which is his Lord of hosts. So, like I say, ask yourself where they get that from. That's the way it's set up in heaven. That's why Genesis chapter 1:26 said, let us go down and make man. It ain't no damn Holy Ghost and Jesus, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. It's these 7 angels. So let's look at it. In case you're saying what the hell I'm talking about. So I'm in Zechariah right quick. Give you a couple of precepts on that. So it says, Zechariah chapter 4. Zechariah says, verse 10, for whoever despises the day of small things, for they shall rejoice and shall see the plummet in the hands of Zerubbabel with those 7. So, who the 7, what 7 we talking about? And then you got to ask yourself, where the hell where this come from? You've been reading this book, but who is these 7? It's the 7 he created in the very beginning that Enoch tells us about. From that, like I said, Genesis 1:26. And the same 7 is in the Tower of Babel. Let us go down and let's go down and see what they're doing. And they scatter the people. Let me give you one more precept. I go back to this. That's got to be. It has to be stress, because it changed the storyline in these scriptures. So anyway, I'm in Ezekiel right quick. 9. They're all over the book. I'm just showing you. I'm just giving you some examples. So I'm in Ezekiel chapter 9, and it says, he cried also in mine ear with a loud voice, saying, cause them to have charge over the city, to draw near. So what city? Jerusalem. We're going to see that these ain't no men that's over Jerusalem, over the city. It says, he cried in my ear with a loud voice, saying, cause them to have charge over the city, to draw near, every man with a destroying weapon in his hand. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lied toward the north, and every man with a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed in linen, with a writer's inkhorn by his side, and they went in and stood beside the brazen altar, these angels. So 1 and 6 is what? 7. These same 7 that was in Genesis 1:26. Okay? Let's go to Exodus right quick, and I'll leave it alone. Exodus. Okay, so Mount Sinai. Okay. Okay. Okay, so Mount Sinai, this is Exodus 24. And I'm going to read verse 1 and lead up to the chapter where I'm going, verse 10. And he said unto Moses, come unto the Lord, thou, Aaron, Nebab, Abihu, and the 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship ye afar off. And Moses alone shall come near the Lord, but thou shalt not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the judgments. And all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which the Lord hath said we will do. And Moses wrote all these words of the Lord and rose up early in the morning and built an altar under the hill and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the children of Israel which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord. And Moses took half of the blood, put it in a basin, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant, and read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that the Lord has said we will do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood, sprinkled it on the temple, on the people, and said, behold, the blood of the covenant, which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words. Then here we go. Then went up Moses. This is in here for a reason. Then went up Moses, Aaron, Nebah, Abihu, and the 70 elders, and they saw the God of Israel there. Under his feet was a paved work of a sapphire stone, as Yahweh, and as it were the body of heaven in its clearness, right there, with no fog, when nothing obstructing it. They saw Yahweh sitting there on the sapphire stone, just like in Ezekiel chapter 1, and they saw 7 angels standing out in front of them. There wasn't no Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Right there. So, and that's like I said, once this has been shown to you, it's all, you see it all through the scriptures. Okay, so let's go back over here where is that. Okay, so it says, verse 11, to present as artist the king, to bring Vesta the queen before the king with a crown royal, to show the people all the princess' beauty, for she was fair to look on. But the queen Vesta refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlain. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. Then the king said to the wise men which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew the law and the judgment. And the next unto him was Crescenda, Shuda, Ada, Tarsus, Mary, that's the 7 chamberlain, 7 princes of the Media Persia, which saw the king's face, and which sat the first in the kingdom. So we see right here, let's look at that again, which saw the king's face. That's what Enoch tell you about the 7 holy angels. Said he came to the door, and fire was all around the door, couldn't nobody go in there. Yahweh, but those 7 angels. They're the only ones saw it, dealt with him. Right? That's why they made out of fire. So 15 says, what shall we do unto the queen of Vesta according to the law? Because she had not performed the commandments of the king, Ahaz by the chamberlain. And Micah answered before the king, Mechem, I'm saying that right, and the princess Vesta, the queen, had not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of King Ahaz. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes. And when it shall be reported, the king Ahaz commanded Vesta the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. Likewise shall the ladies of the Persian and Media say this day unto all the king's princes which have heard the deeds of the queen, thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vesta come no more before the king Ahaz, and let the king give her a royal state unto another, a royal state unto another that is better than she. And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husband honor, both to great and small. And the same pleased the king. and the princes, and the king did according to the words of Meekin. All right, for he sent letters into all the king's provinces, into every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people. So let's look at this right quick. So out of those 7 Chamberlain, this guy right here, Meekin, is the Lord of hosts over the Most High Kingdom. I'm giving you the breakdown on how it's set up. So in heaven, it's the Lord of hosts. Yahweh ain't the Lord of hosts. So notice right here, the king asked him what should be done by Vesta. He told him what should be done. King agreed with it. Then verse 21 says, and the same pleased the king. Same thing going on in heaven, just like in the creation. The creator said, Yahweh said, make light. It's somebody else making the light. He just commanded it. Somebody else making the light. It ain't damn sure ain't Jesus. So 21 says, and the same pleased the king and the princes. And the king did according to the words of Meekin, right? And so it says, according to what Meekin said, it pleased the king. Then 22, and he, Meekin, Lord of hosts, sent letters into all the king's provinces, 172, in every province according to the writing thereof, and in every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people. So it's the strong man. The Lord of hosts is a strong man. He putting the letters out. He the one the people seen. They're not dealing with the king. They're dealing with the strong man. This is Lord of hosts, which is this guy Meekin. So go to verse. I'm in chapter. Anybody got any question? Chapter 1. Okay. Everybody good?
No. Yes, sir. Good.
Okay. I'm gonna read chapter 2. So it says, after these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vesta and what she had done and what was decreed against her. So let's look at this part right here too. When you understand the breakdown of what's really going on, it says, after these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, so he got pissed off, right? Well, who you think performed his wrath? Meekin. The Lord of hosts performed the wrath. He told him what he wanted to do, and he done it. So same thing going on in heaven. So then said the king's servants. Okay, let's look at that, what I just said. So the Israelites in Egypt, and they crying out, and the Egyptians oppressing them. And so the Lord of hosts, Yahweh told the Lord of hosts, Michael, to go from where he abided in the land of Canaan on Mount Zion. That's where he dwells here. On Mount Zion, that's the land that was given to him, allotted to him in Genesis chapter 11, Tower of Babel. And so he commanded him to go from Mount Zion and get the children of Israel. So he the one, the Lord of hosts went, caused these 10 plagues, freed the children of Israel and brought them back to his land, to his inheritance that was given to him. Okay? So it says, chapter 2, verse 2. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be a fair young virgin sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins under Shushan the palace, to the house of women, unto the custody of Haggai, the king's chamberlain, keeper of women, and let their things for purification be given them, and let the maidens which pleases the king be queen instead of Vesta. And the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Now, see how the king is getting the commandment, but somebody else performing it. So now in Shushan palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jar, the son of Shema, son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought up Hadasha, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. So it came to pass when the king's commandments and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house to the custody of Haggai, the keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and he speedily gave her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her out of the king's house, and he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of women. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her. And now when every maid turn was come to go in unto the king Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of a woman, for so were the days of their purification accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh, 6 months with sweet odors, and with the other things for the purifying of women. Then thus came every maiden unto the king, whatsoever she desired was given her to go with her out of the house of women unto the king's house. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned to the second house of the women, to the custody of Shagmagag, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and that she was called by name. Now, when the turn of Esther, daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go into the king, she required nothing but what Haggai, the king chamberlain, the keeper of women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. So Esther was taken unto the king Ahasuerus into his house, royal in the 10th month, which is in the month of Tibet, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Esther. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and all his servants, even Esther's feast, and he made a release to the province and gave gifts according to the state of the king. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her. But Esther did not did the commandments of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, 2 of the king's chamberlains, Bigithan and Tirish, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hands on the king Ahasuerus. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther, the queen, and Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. And when the inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out, therefore, that they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king. So that was chapter 2 of the book of Mordecai. But like I said, once you understand the construct of how everything operated and how it came into existence is this story has a whole other meaning to it. Okay, any comments or questions on that? So I'll probably pick up next week and read some more chapters or Esther till I finish it.
Shalom. Excuse me. Was Esther Benjamite?
Say that again.
Was Esther a Benjamite?
Yeah, I think so. Well, yeah, because of she was Mordecai's daughter, so Mordecai is a Benjamite.
Yes, sir. Okay. She was an orphan because her parents died, right?
Right, but but Mordecai took her in. So her parents was killed. Her parents was killed when Nebuchadnezzar came to Babylon.
Okay.
I mean,
yes, sir.
it tells you that Mordecai was carried to Babylon on the first wave. He came to Babylon with Jehoiakim, just like Daniel and Ezekiel and all of them came on the first wave.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else got anything? Okay, so what you got?
No, I was just saying. I was saying I didn't have nothing else. But I don't know if you ever mentioned the King Alfred plan on here.
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah, I got videos on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably before I came though. But yeah, that was something good too, kind of like a modern day Willie Lynch letter.
Right. Yeah. It's predicated off of Willie Lynch letter.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So like I was saying, that little video I was playing yesterday about the woman was saying what's getting ready to happen. Yeah, it's tied to that. Yeah. And that I don't know if you heard about I was talking about the Project 2025 yesterday.
No.
Yeah, Google it. It's Project 2025.
Okay, I'm gonna do that right when I get off here.
Okay. So everybody good?
Yes.
All right. So I'm gonna say shalom. I'll see everybody Tuesday for our advanced Bible study. Shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom, fam.